Hi, this is Daniela Cambone for StansberryInvestor.com, and we have a very special episode for you today. Earlier this week, President Joe Biden defended his proposal to raise corporate taxes to help pay for his infrastructure spending plan, saying he was not worried the hike would harm the economy and that there was no evidence it would drive business abroad. Here to talk about this and so much more, we have a lot to catch up with today. Gerald Celente, he is the founder and publisher of the Trends Journal. Gerald, welcome back to Stansberry Investor. Always a pleasure having you on.
Oh, and always a pleasure being on with you, Daniela.
All right, we have a lot of ground to cover since it's been a while that we last spoke, Gerald. I hope you've been doing well. How have you been doing? Let me ask you that first of all.
Well, business is great, but life isn't fun. They suck the joy out of life with all these moronic lockdowns. And again, the facts don't matter. They're making up stuff as they go along. You look at New York City. I mean, look at it. Midtown is dead town. You could, we're closing the restaurants and, we'll decide to open them when we think we should open them. And you can have 25% capacity. No, I say 50% capacity, but you have to close at 10 o'clock. Well, I say 9:45. No, I say 10:20. They're making this crap up. They've destroyed the lives and livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people. Not a shred of scientific data to support what they're doing. And I got a little clown boy over here, Cuomo, a daddy's boy, born on third base, thought he had a home run. I'm going to give you an executive order. As he's giving the executive order last December to close down the restaurants, you know what the infection rate in restaurants is? 1.4%. 1.4%. You're locking them down? Yeah, I'm the governor. I'm the executive order. I'll tell you what to do. Oh, and how about putting those masks on in restaurants? Oh, yeah, according to the CDC, cuts the infection rate by the grand total of 1.34%. And how about those stupid little prostitutes, media whores that get paid to put out by their corporate pimps and their government whoremasters? Here I am giving them, here we are live. And what do you got the mask on for? You got nobody around you. Why? Because we're freaking people out because we're freaks. How am I doing? They suck the joy out of life. You can't go dancing, no hugging, no singing. No, it's not allowed, not allowed.
And we're going to be talking a little bit more about, the economic recovery here, Gerald. But let's just start with all this tax talk. Biden earlier this week taking aim at 50 or 51 companies on the Fortune 500 list that paid no taxes at all for 3 years. He's now saying it's time for them to pay up and pay their share.
Yeah. What'll happen is they won't pay their share. Just like the hedge funds and private equity groups, they don't pay the full taxes. Here's all I say. Go back to the times when Eisenhower. Now, there's a liberal for you, right? Liberal. The tax rate was 90% for the very rich. Yeah, the Buffetts, the Gates, the Bezos. Tax the hell out of them. How many more billions do you need? No, these taxes, when they raise the corporate tax, they hit the small businesses because the other ones take their stuff offshore. They know all the games and how to beat. And Biden talking about taxes. Oh, where was Biden a senator from? Oh, Delaware. Yeah, Delaware, where you go to beat the whole tax game. So all this coming out of his mouth is a lot of baloney. The little people will pay the taxes, just like they did. You're not an essential business. Walmart's is essential. Costco is essential. You're not essential. You close down. Oh, you don't have any. Oh, hey, Cuomo. Hey, Gavin Newsom, Gruesome, Whitlis Whitmer, all the rest of you. How come you don't have any capacity regulations in Walmart, but you put them in restaurants? Oh, and how's this a stupidity? When you're sitting down, you don't have to use a mask. But when you stand up, yeah, what if I'm in a wheelchair and I go to the bathroom? They're making this stuff up. So going back to Biden, it's BS Biden. They're going to tax and it's going to hit the little people. They're already doing it. The clown Cuomo, you know what they did? Here's what they do. They just raise the tolls. Do you think the rich people care about the tolls went up? Do you think we're going to raise the gas taxes? We're going to raise your property taxes. We're going to raise your school taxes because we destroy the economy. We put millions of people out of work, close down businesses. So what they're going to do, Biden, is just BS. All they have to do is do the billionaires, the hedge funds, the private equity groups. When I was a young guy, there was no such thing as private equity groups or hedge funds, and they're buying up everything. Look at the merger and acquisition activity going on. All the smalls are going out of business. The bigs are getting bigger. They got $4 trillion richer during the COVID war.
You've said, Gerald, I've read your recent articles that this is really a case of blue states underperforming the red states, and hence the real drive to raise big taxes.
Yeah, look what's going on in the big cities. Look what's going on in New York City. Look what's going on in San Francisco. Look what's going on in Boston, in Chicago. What do you have? An office occupancy rate of 14% in New York City. All the businesses that depended on commuters, gone. There's no tourism. Tax, where's the money coming in? The hospitality sector dead. Hey, remember they used to have a thing, they don't talk about it anymore, called conventions and trade shows?
So do you not think this will all come back, Gerald? Let's talk about the economic recovery then. How does it?
No, there's going to be a boom. There's going to be the Biden boom. They're shoveling.
We're already seeing with the jobs numbers reflected in the job. Of course, this will happen right after a pandemic.
Exactly. It's they're injecting monetary methadone into the system.
Right.
The $28 trillion worth of debt. And what do they say? Well, we're not worried about it because the interest rates are so low. I'm not making that up. That's what Yellen said, and that's what Powell said. So, yeah, so we don't have to. What's going to happen when interest rates go up? What's going to happen when inflation? Oh, inflation's not going to. Oh, no. Oh, they don't count. I'm in Kingston, New York. According to Bloomberg, the prices of houses went up here the highest in the nation, 18.1%. Do you know the raising prices of housing doesn't go into the inflation index? And so do not a lot of other things.
Right.
So real inflation is going way up. When they raise interest rates, this thing is going to crash. They're giving the money junkies this money for free so they could keep gambling, artificially boosting up the markets. How could the markets go up throughout all of 2020 when the nation's locked down? And now they're scaring everybody again. A new variant is going to be worse than the one. And go on. People are still freaked out. So no, I don't see it. It's going to be a big bounce, and it's going to look like everything's coming back. But the millions of people that are out of work are not coming back.
Right. It definitely feels like that, right? Like when you speak to people, do you feel that there is optimism in the air, but it's just a fake optimism?
Yes. When interest rates go up, this thing's going to collapse. And they're going to have to raise interest rates. The central banks are pulling out of dollars all over the world. Don't believe me, but read Wall Street Journal or Financial Times. I mean, I'm just telling you the facts. So the dollar is going to be under a lot of pressure. $28 trillion in debt. I mean, how are you going to pay for this?
So let's tie it to Janet Yellen, who also earlier this week was making a plea and a pitch, and it seems she was successful, to G20 countries to agree on a global corporate tax rate to end what she calls a 30-year race to the bottom on corporate tax rates. Is this just a fundraising campaign to pay for the trillions of dollars of debt here in the US? Right?
Yes. And this is what everybody needs to understand. Anything that the central governments do, they're failures at everything. It's not like you got a bunch of bright people running your country. What do they do so intelligently? Tell me. So you got a bunch of losers in the show telling everybody what to do. And then you talk about Janet Yellen. Oh, America, the land of the free. Where did Janet Yellen come from? Oh, wasn't she the head of the Federal Reserve? You mean you have the head of the Federal, and they're not as Federal Express, as everybody knows, who listens to Stansberry. They're private banksters. Oh, and they're running the Treasury right in front of your eyes? Right in front of your eyes?
Well, Mario Draghi, he's now the Prime Minister of Italy. So there you go.
Yep. I know. So yes, that's what they're going to do. They're going to raise taxes to cover their failures, but the people that are going to pay the taxes are the non-essentials. The big ones like the apples and they have all day. They're in Ireland. They're all over the world. They're beating the system 1,000 different ways. It's prosecution to the fullest for we the people and a slap on the wrist for the other ones. Look what happens. Look at the JP Morgan Chase gang. What did they get caught in 2020? Rigging the precious metals market, right? They're caught. They got a lousy $900 million fine.
Right.
For rigging the markets.
It back in precious metals sales, though.
Yeah, right. Rigging the markets. Now you're driving, you're 10 miles over the limit. Where were you? How many drinks did you have? Get on your head, repeat the alphabet backwards. It's prosecution to the fullest for we the people, and the big ones get off. It's like George Carlin said, it's one big club and you ain't in it. So yeah, they're going to raise taxes and we're going to pay for them. The bigs aren't. They're essential. We're non-essential by their words and their deeds.
I have to go there because I want to know more about it. I know it's going to be controversial, but you've spoken about how a Vax war will unfold. What does that look like for you? What do you mean by that, Gerald?
Well, the Vax war is that there are a lot of people that don't want this. You're going to see new movements going on around the world. Anti-vax, anti-tax, anti-immigration, and anti-establishment. You go look, again, what we do is we look at the current events following future trends. So the IMF comes out with a study and says how bad it's hitting emerging markets, right? The COVID lockdown. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, you think you have an immigration problem now over here south of the border? Oh, you think it's bad over there in Europe as they're flooding out of Africa? So when you look at the consequences of the COVID war, you're going to see anti-immigration, anti-vax, anti-tax, and anti-establishment. There's going to be new movements. You look, what they're doing in the media is, for example, over in Stuttgart last week, there were about 15,000 people that took to the streets opposing the lockdown. What was the headline? A reporter got beat up. So what they do is they take that out of the big story of what the people are really aggravated, and they put it on, oh, look how violent they became. So that's what the media and the politicians are doing to it. But this thing's swelling big. You go back to, you're looking at homicide rates, they're escalating all over. These are numbers. Look what happened. I mean, you're in New York City. It's not the same place. People are dying to go out, but you know.
It's greatly changed. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And people are concerned.
In broad daylight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the other day I was walking, broad daylight on a street that I've walked thousands of times. But the feeling and the energy was completely different. And I'll tell you, Gerald, I walked a lot faster.
You got it. You go down to Midtown. Hey man, hey, you got some money? Hey man. Right? I'm not making that up. Yeah. It's everywhere. Oh, that's the other thing. I want to make this really clear. The homeless population is blowing up, right? How come the hospitals aren't filled with homeless people that have COVID?
Because they're in the hotels of New York, Gerald.
Because the people that are dying from this, again, in Canada, 80% of the people, according to Lancet, for nursing homes. 94% of the people that have died from COVID have 2.6 pre-existing chronic conditions. Obesity, type 2 diabetics, and respiratory ailments. America, 42% of the people in America are obese, 70% overweight. That respiratory ailments, that's what hits you. Again, when you look at the numbers around the world, Germany, the average age is 79, Italy, 81. And they're locking down all these other places. But Texas is open. The infection rate's going down. Look, they're here. I'm not making this stuff up. And I just pulled this up. I got to find this. Where was it? Nearly half of new U.S. infections are in just 5 states. New York, lockdown New York by Clown Cuomo, #1. New Jersey, the little clown over there, Murphy, #2. These are the lockdown. Oh, by the way, over 50% of the people around the world have died from nursing homes, and they lied about the numbers in New York. That's proven. And even at the lying number, it's around 35%. Pennsylvania, with that moron wolf. What wolf? A little puppy dog. And Florida. Florida is wide open. All right. Sweden. Nobody talks about Sweden. Nobody talks about Sweden. No lockdown at all. Oh, but they have a higher infection rate than the other Nordic countries. Oh, yeah. Oh, they got Finland and Norway have lower ones, but they're lower than France. They're lower than Italy. They're lower than the UK. They're lower than just about everybody everywhere. And they didn't lock down anything anywhere. The lockdowns are ineffective. And what are they doing again? You got Draghi over there, Dracula over there in Italy. They locked down the place. And now the restaurateurs are taken to the streets and protest. They were the first country to lock down, as you and I remember. And now they're locking. It didn't work before. Now you're doing it again. They're destroying small businesses. They're wiping out small businesses. The numbers show it. The billionaires got trillions richer, and the essentials became more essential, more merger and acquisition, going back to the taxes. They'll get a free ride. We'll pay.
Okay, well, thank you for tuning in to part 1 of my in-depth talk with Gerald Celente of the Trends Journal. We will have part 2 tomorrow, where we will discuss his investment philosophy. You will not want to miss that. Stay tuned to StansberryInvestor.com.